Evening and welcome to Toast right here on GHOne television. My name is Mame Inimuabekun. Whatever you've done today, I hope that this is the right piece to settle in to the evening. Of course, I always tell you guys, it can never be me alone. I have the ever gorgeous, the ever gorgeous Abunamaway. The Shandon is given Shandon, so it's speaking for itself.
Oh,
you know,
je ne sais quoi.
What she said. And we have the beautiful Ganyobi Achawa.
Hi.
You ladies are looking amazing today.
You too.
Amazing.
Today you're giving us like my boy. I'm coming from my boyfriend's place with heels and all of that.
And then we have Benjamin Ofori, who is a lawyer. It's a pleasure to have you in the studio. Wait, I'm going to start with you, Abna. With the way you're looking, you look like you've had a great week.
Really?
Yeah.
That is why they say don't judge a book by its cover.
But judge the cover by
that great. No.
Why, what happened?
No, I mean it's just been stressful, like work. I mean it's all of it, but I thank God we don't look like what we've been through or what we're going through, because I'm very exhausted.
Ladina,
Like if people give me a pillow and throw this table further away, I'll just lie here
and just sleep.
So
I just learned something new today. Apparently she's called Lodina.
Okay, I knew about it.
Hey!
You know, funny story. I remember one time I think they were doing this thing in my office, and then they said, I think sometimes they reached out. I don't know, they were looking for something in my office, and then in the account section they saw Lodina. They spent a whole week looking for Lodina in the office.
They didn't know it was you.
They didn't know it was me. So one time that lady at the accountant was like, "Hey, say for Lodina." She was like, "She and father like they were looking for who is Lodina." So she was like, one time she was there at dawn, and father called was like, "Same way, why?" No, people.
It's for a while.
I know.
I actually know you were called Donna.
You're called what?
Donna.
It's Donna.
Donna. Oh, I
okay.
mean, no, it looks good on you. I mean, it suits you, Donna.
I don't want to offend my mother, so I'll just pretend that I like
it's
the
a
name.
nice name.
It's a very nice name, Donna.
So there was a video you posted.
Have Inspector's secretary. Do you watch Suits?
No.
She was called Donna.
Oh yeah.
You know, there was a video you posted in the comment section. Someone wrote Donna. Because I was about to comment, so I went to the comment section to comment. And I was like, I heard someone calling you Donna one time. But Donna is a nice name for a pretty demure lady like
Well,
you.
it's an Italian meaning for a woman or a lady. So.
Okay. And you are a Donna, though.
She's a Donna.
Lawyer, how's your week been?
It's been stressful. You're actually on vacation, so there's a legal vacation. We just got back from the bar conference.
How was that? Hey, they don't have to party, these lawyers.
The conference was a party.
Yeah. It was like a whole activity. The main thing was
you have the activity, and then after 7 p.m. you have to relax a bit.
Yeah.
So the 7 years you put spent in the school, you will come out to put soul inside.
The conference has the whole learning bit, and after 6 p.m. you wind down a bit.
It's very important. Okay.
So a bit of clubbing here and there.
Okay.
Yes.
You mentioned that you were on a break.
Yes, we are on a legal break. We've been
we
resume in October.
October, yeah.
Yes, so in the course of that, you have time to relax a bit, but you still have to go to court here and there.
Okay.
So the work is not easy. We are managing it.
Okay, so that means
It's not as demure as your life is.
I love that. But are you ready for tonight?
Yes, I am.
Are you sure you're ready?
Very ready.
Just by what?
Yes, I'm very ready. Very, very ready. Sandwich between 3 ladies, but I'll be ready. I'm ready.
Achawa, what's your expectations for tonight?
I'm very excited that we have a lawyer here because I was trying to read about the topic just to ensure that the information I put out there is very good. And I came across a lot of stuff, so I'm glad we have a lawyer here to, emphasize on a lot of things. So the viewers at home would also learn a lot. So I'm pretty excited about tonight's topic.
Okay. Was that sign language?
Like, I'm happy.
Oh, okay. Got it. Abna.
My sister today, I'm here as a spectator and the learner. Where's my pen and my paper? So we jot things because today I will either go home smiling at my husband or very angry.
Mommy, how about you? You always get to ask her, so I would ask you.
To be honest with you, I don't know what my expectations are. All I know is I'm just here to just learn. Maybe, because sometimes I feel like they say that when you love, you love without using your head.
Yeah.
And I feel like in the past,
fall in love.
I've made quite a number of mistakes.
So you're going to learn.
So I'm here to learn and gain more wisdom on this. But on that note, let's take a quick commercial break. When we return, I'll tell you what the topic of the day is. Putting his wife's name on some of his properties, and I can also believe a wife somewhere watching me now has contemplated disclosing a property she acquired in the course of the marriage to the husband. While in both cases the common thoughts I presume they share is common is, will I ever regret this? I hope by the end of tonight's episode some of your questions may be answered as we discuss this topic. Is it mandatory to have your partner's name on your properties? Is it mandatory to have your partner's names on your properties? Is it mandatory? Achawa, it's like you're thinking about a lot of things. What's on your mind?
I think if I acquired the property before I met my husband, definitely it's going to be my name. So all properties I'm acquiring now is in my name. But if I meet him and we acquire something together, it's going to be in our name. And one thing I learned, I'm happy that the lawyer is here. So I am, let's say, do you know my name is Betty?
Really?
Yeah.
Why are we discovering? What's your name?
That's like you have a lot of
It's Benjamin. I just introduced him.
I'm Benjamin.
Okay, do you have any name somewhere? Like, we'll be shocked to hear.
Ofori, that's all.
Okay.
There's
nothing
Benji, just to shorten
Okay, there's nothing.
Mine is Grace.
What? What? Yours is
My grandma used to call me Ogre. Ogre, please. Moving on.
So my name is Betty Saki, and let's say my husband is Mr. Ofori. So if Mr. Ofori has a property, he's supposed to write Mr. Ofori and Mr. and Mrs. Betty Ofori.
Really?
That's not because if he writes Mr. and Mrs. Ofori, if I'm no more his Mrs., then the other Mrs. is supposed to acquire that property. So my name should find a way. So I'm glad he's here. And just like I said, if I acquire property before I met my husband, it's going to be my name. But if we did it together, it's going to be in our name. Because whatever is mine is his, and whatever is his is mine. And the two shall be one. That's what I believe.
Okay, I would need you to come and break down what she said. Because I'm sure you have something to say. Abna, does your partner know about every property or every things? I mean, when I say properties, it goes beyond just.
Does my husband know everything about me?
You have everything about her.
Yes.
Yeah.
You see, naturally, I talk a lot. So even if I don't want to tell him cry, naturally I overshare. So I am not a spouse that can easily hide something. I would want to hide it. But at some point, it's going to come out of my mouth. So I bet my husband knows everything, not because I really want to tell him, but because
unconsciously,
I just say it.
But so if you had your way,
is it mandatory?
Yeah.
No, you see, for mandatory, that will be for the law's part. But is it right? Ideally, if two people decide that we're in love, we're going to share everything together, our pain, our sorrow, our joy. What is property? Ideally, we're supposed to share it together or everything. But yes, you might go in a relationship or a marriage with nothing but pure intentions, but somebody is just using you as a means to an end for a pension, whatever. So ideally, you're supposed to. But I feel like even for my husband, if he gets properties, he should wait till maybe 10, 20 years and he sees that my wife is what she says she is, then he can add my name.
So if you realize your husband has a property and you don't know about it, how would that make you feel?
If I don't know about it, it will hurt me. But if my name is not on it right now, it will not hurt.
So you're not married?
If I'm not married,
if I didn't what's it called, contribute physically, if I didn't contribute anything, if I didn't add any value to that property he acquired.
But you just said the two shall be one.
I said ideally it is supposed to be right. But you know that you're not supposed to feel entitled. Hey, what dear? Why you Juma Kota Sasibi? I was so demawu, but Mama say we just 2 years, 3 years. You don't even know each other that well. We don't even know if you're really in love with this man. Why you
you're not in love with him? Why did you marry him?
That is it. You see, unfortunately, people have various reasons why they marry. People don't marry for love anymore. People marry for opportunities in life. People marry for security and all that. No, people even marry for very bad reasons. Somebody can just marry you because they want to show you shege. Like, people marry for various reasons. So that's why I say ideally I'm supposed to. But because we don't know how people are or their hearts, you should wait. Maybe 10 years or 5 years into the marriage, you see that this my spouse is my person. Then you can share everything with them.
So you're not married?
No, I'm not yet.
But if you were in this situation, is it mandatory for you to let your future husband or your soon-to-be or your husband know the properties that you have?
Okay, so you're saying soon-to-be husband. I was talking about soon-to-be because, for instance, if I'm dating someone,
either way.
No, the possibility that I'm dating someone does not mean I'm going to marry.
No, soon-to-be meaning that you guys are in line about to get married.
No, I will not.
Okay.
No, I will not. The reason is, until it is what it is, it's not what it is. I don't know whether you understand. Until it is what it is, it's not what it is. There are things that might happen, and I don't want him to be with me because of what I have. He has to love me, appreciate me, and want to be with me. So I'm not going to put on the table, I own this, I own this, I own that. No, it is me he wants. If he comes and he realizes that, oh, this young lady has done enough for herself, fine. But I'm not going to put on the table that no. So I'll wait till he's my husband. And just like Abna said, the fact that I accept someone to be my husband means that I'm willing to share everything with him. I might not put his name on, but he will know that I have this. Yeah.
Okay. First question to you. Achawa made mention of something earlier. First and foremost, do you want to elaborate on what she said, and then we would take it from there?
I think she was concentrating on name being on the document.
Yeah.
To start with, it's not necessarily about the name being on it. The position of the law is not about names on the property.
Okay.
So, from the very onset, before you get married, every property you have, the law presumes that to be yours. It has nothing to do with your spouse.
Okay.
Unless, of course, after marriage, you all agree to add some value, or your spouse agrees to add some value to it. And then the law can now regard that property as a marital property.
Oh, okay.
So before marriage, whatever you have is deemed yours. Now, after marriage, whatever you get after marriage, the law has moved from so many stages to this current position that we have now in Ghana. So some people are living in the past because they've not averted their minds to the current position of the law with regards to marital property. Mind you, it's not about putting names on the property. It's enough to know that your spouse has these properties after you got married. And the law will protect you as the law states it should protect you. Now, what do I mean? To start with, prior to this position of the law is that every woman that cannot own a property in the marriage.
Hey.
Every property belongs to the man.
Like who was that?
Previously, in the 50s,
Who said that?
the 60s, the
They were
70s.
a bunch of misogynistic men. What do you have to ask?
Because the idea was
Fantastic.
that the man takes care of the home. So if the man makes the property, it is the man's property.
So if I buy a house, it's my husband's property.
You buy a house, it's the husband's property. Have you forgotten that I can't add it? It's
So in the 50s when you divorce,
you carry the guns around.
so in the 50s when you divorce, a woman walks away with nothing.
With nothing.
Oh.
Yes, and that was the position of the law. And whenever a lawyer says that was the position of the law, it means that the Supreme Court has had opportunity in cases to decide that this is what should be.
So that means in the olden days, marriages did not last longer because our grandmothers and grandfathers knew how to love.
Exactly.
It's just because they were scared of losing their properties. That is why they stayed in the marriage. That is why marriage lasted longer then.
That, if
Could
that's
this
the
be a point of
understanding,
view, baby girl?
I bet because we always
Yeah.
say let's compare our marriages to that of the olden days. But to me, look at this.
So if
look
I
at
buy
this.
a car, and the car does not belong to me.
1950, you don't have a car with sister.
Like for instance, there are women who own, let's say, factories or something. Let's say a plot of land. If my father gave me that plot of land, and because by virtue that I'm a married woman, that plot of land does not belong to me anymore, it belongs to my husband.
so you are talking about a gift from your father. That is entirely different.
Okay.
So when I started, I told you that prior to the marriage, whatever you have, we don't regard that as marital property. Now this is property you've gotten after you got married. So if you get a gift from your father, and then your husband builds on that land, forget it. That land and that property is your husband's. Do you understand me?
In the
That was-
50s or
That
now?
was in the 50s.
That was
now.
Ah,
then.
okay, yeah.
We've gone through
Sorry,
stages
50s.
50s, 60s, yes. So there's a major case which is Quality versus Marty. I wouldn't want to bore you with the cases, but
Please
when the lawyer is talking, and these are the authorities, these are things that grants the law. We ground ourselves in the cases. So the Supreme Court had the opportunity and said that no, for a wife, your husband is taking care of you. You don't come and claim for a house after divorce. No, it's your husband's.
As
It
well
should
in the
be.
streets.
It should be your husband. Maybe a bit.
Do you see this law being altered or reviewed
So, like
as
I
time
said,
goes on?
They've already
So
reviewed
it's been
it.
reviewed, and
Okay.
there's a time that there was a lot of confusion, even with marital properties. But it's been reviewed to a point that now every property gotten after marriage, mind you, not before marriage.
After.
Immediately you get married, the properties you get after is deemed joint.
Even
So
if
whether you put your
contributed
name
nothing.
on it or not is deemed joint. Now, after this first stage, the court said no, women are being cheated. Ideally, it was because of women. It wasn't because of the men, unfortunately for the men. But then the courts decided that no, let's look at the contributions of a wife to acquiring the property. So now the court started using the contribution test. So if during a divorce, you want a property, the court will look at how well you contributed in making that property the property it is. And based on that contribution, you are then given a 50% share.
How do you measure the contribution?
Good. So, like I said, during that time, the contribution was mainly on the monetary contribution, the kind contribution, your time during the work, were you supervising workers, Were you going to site? Were you moving materials? Your husband was not around. Were you really supervising them? Were you doing something essential to make sure that the building or the property came to be?
You know what I'm thinking about? Like if you go on site, hey, I'm on site. So that you can use that as an evidence. So I'm really like, how would you measure all these?
So you go to court. The case is in court after divorce. We need properties. The wife comes and tells the court what she did with evidence. And
What
that
evidence?
contribution.
Like,
I was there.
receipts?
This gentleman saw me there. The man, the
laborers,
laborers saw me. I brought the cement. I brought the blocks. In fact, these are receipts to the blocks. You don't necessarily even need to prove receipts because marital things, nobody even keeps receipts during marriage.
It's like
but can you prove somewhat that you contributed? And then because of that contribution, you get a share. Not necessarily your name being on the property.
so whether your name is on the property or not, so far as you're married, that property belongs to both parties automatically.
Joint is deemed joint because of your contribution. That was the next leg of the law.
So would you also agree that a lot of couples, especially when they know the man's assets after marriage, when they want, I mean, like you mentioned, back then people used to get married for love. So imagine someone getting married to a man because of, what they have and whatnot. We've seen stories of footballers and, wealthy celebrities and stuff like that where they get married. I think recently a gentleman got married and his properties weren't in his name. It was actually in his
was in
mother's
his mom's name. Yeah.
What happens if a woman triggers a man just so they will get divorced so she can get some
acquire
of
the properties.
How does the law actually
Protect the man.
as well? Because I'm sure people say that the law usually favors the woman more than it favors the man, but in this case, do you think there'll be any way the law will actually protect the
man?
Yeah.
Okay, so if like I said, now the current position is that I was trying to give a historical antecedent as to where we've come from and where we've arrived now. Now at a point, contributions was just merely what you do. Basically, cooking at home could be contribution. So the Supreme Court judges in their mind said, no, we can't just look at how the woman contributed financially or supervising. Now cooking in the house chores was deemed contribution enough to get percentages in properties. So women were excited. Now I can actually go to court and claim that while I was helping my husband at home, I was cooking. I was basically servicing him at night. That was also part of the work I was doing.
So having sex is also part of contribution?
I mean, if
At
you
a point-
and you go to work and you come back and
I'm
have to
taking care of the
breastfeed and
kids.
have to take care of you afterwards, yes, it is a chore.
So does this case, Mensa and
sorry.
Mensa, that's really
You said what you said already, baby girl.
Mensa and Mensa, that really brought that position that contribution need not be financial or need to be in kind, but even assisting the husband was enough contribution. Then the courts were flooded because now
Women
were like, yeah, I've contributed. And at that point, the court even said, by reason of that contribution, the property should be shared 50-50. Equitable, 50-50. But the courts had another opportunity to look at other cases, like Atta was a footballer. They realized that no, we cannot be really looking at just mere contributions. We have to look at how substantial the contribution is. So now, let me not bore you with all this. The final position of the law is that now, after marriage, every property gotten, in our minds, we presume it to be joint. Having presumed so to be joint, if you, the husband, or you, the wife, you find some reasons not to make this property joint, or you have some evidence to prove that it is not a joint property for us to be shared, lay before us the evidence, and we look at it. What evidence can this be? Now we are married and your father wills you a mansion. Your wife says, oh, I know this house is supposed to be for us. It's for us. I'm taking it apart. Can you prove to us that it was a will from your dad? If you can prove to us that this was in the will granted to you, then that property cannot be shared. It's your own property. I hope I've
Yeah, you have. Now, okay, so I want to ask this. Let's just take celebrities. Most celebrities never buy anything. Almost every property they have, they'll tell you, oh, I got this land from this minister. I did this from this person. I did this from this person. It's like most of their, like your job, the enjoyment part is you get gifts. So imagine in my line of work, because of my job, I'm able to get properties from whoever or my fans or in a divorce because it was a gift. Does that mean that my spouse gets nothing. Say even if I'm the man, like let's say even if I am the man and then I acquired everything through funds and gifts and all that, my spouse gets nothing after divorce.
So Abna, you and your spouse, the law, the constitution, this is the mother of all laws. In Article 8, it says that we have the right to own properties personally, even in marriage.
Okay.
Do you get it? Though whatever we get after marriage is deemed joint, we also have the right to earn properties separately. So there's a divorce. Now your spouse is saying, I need my share of the properties we got. So you have to also come to court and prove to the court that, well, you've seen that we have 10 houses, but out of the 10, all these 8, I got it personally through my endorsement deals and through some sponsorship. And so this cannot be part of the joint properties that we need to share 50-50. Can you prove it? Yes, I can prove it. This was an endorsement from Guinness. And this was the documentation to show that this property was given to me as a gift. That will not be deemed as the marital property. It should be shared between the couple.
But if that is my job, if my husband is a bank manager and then he acquired his properties from his bank managing, if I acquire properties from my celebrity, I get away with everything just because
It was a gift.
it was a gift. But it's part of my job. Is that not part like of the job?
So I'm not to be able to prove to the court that it was a gift is in itself
A difficult thing.
a difficult thing.
But you
Oh,
have
what
to
if-
bring the
what if,
contract.
there were bloggers around when Guinness gave me the thing and
Yeah,
then
and the
we
contract
cut
to
the
show
sword
that
and all
you
of that.
did.
If you're
Yeah.
able to prove that,
He gets
sorry for your
nothing
husband,
from
he
me.
doesn't get it. That is the new position of the, because at a point, the whole it's marital property, let's share, became just too much. Everybody says, oh, I know he has a property here,
Yes.
I know he has this here, so we are sharing. People couldn't even say that this is just a gift, this cannot be part of our property. So there was this particular case. The man went for a loan from a bank. He had not even finished paying the loan. He was building an apartment. The wife says, no, I own 50% of that. He added it to the divorce petition.
The loan or the
The
apartment.
apartment that the man was building, he had not even finished building the apartment. The man said, you know what, this apartment cannot be part of our matrimonial properties. Because this is the loan I've not even finished servicing.
So does that mean that when you want 50%, you also incur 50% of the debts? The wife.
If you want 50%,
No, that the unfinished building. Okay. You also incur 50% of the debts from the bank, the loan.
and that is why the court, in their wisdom, said this cannot be regarded as a marital property.
Yeah.
Because there's a loan with the bank. The man has not even finished. This is a separate property for the man. He's not even finished paying the bank. So how then do you even tag that as a marital property? So note, I keep mentioning marital
property.
property. That's properties you got after marriage.
Abner, I want to ask you this question. Do you think that a woman should be, with all the knowledge that we've just learned from lawyer here, should a woman be worried if a man insists of not putting her name on his properties?
See, that is why the Bible says, for lack of knowledge, my people perish. Let's say you are a bit enlightened about the law, and then you know that whatever is gained in the marriage is for both of you. Why do you stress? Why do you fret? Once you can prove that you got it in the marriage, it wasn't a gift, it wasn't a will, he made it. I mean, if you know all of this, like you said, whatever he's doing, go on. We shall meet in
I
the
want to
court
say
of law.
something. So, for instance, you're a lawyer, like
Yes.
you are Mr. Ofori, and you have properties, and you decide to will your property to different people, and I'm your wife. Can I say that because I'm your wife, I'm entitled to all these properties? So you have, let's say, an apartment, you own Villaggio, you own maybe Malta Guinness and Pepsi, and you have willed Pepsi to your sister. Can I say that because I am your wife and we are together and we made that property when we were together, you can't give that to your sister?
Exactly.
I can say that.
You can
After
say
you're
it.
dead?
If after my death, it means the will now comes into question.
Oh,
So
okay.
note, there's an article in the Constitution that says that a spouse cannot will his properties to people without necessarily making provision for the other spouse. It is compulsory.
That I
So
have properties too.
yes.
But that's
So-
why they may
so-
give their wife 1% and they'll give 39% to their nephews. I mean, you see that all the time.
So I cannot just will my properties to other people and my wife gets nothing. The court, if the wife takes it on, the court will make provision for the wife. And the provision is not just something mere. If you look at the status of the wife and then make adequate provision. So up now here, if you look at marital status and all that, you can give her some lofty portion from the from the properties, because
Zoom in the camera into my eyes. Lofty. Thank you for that word.
So yes, that's what the position of the law. But if a property is joint, you cannot give it out without the consent of the other party. Do you get it? So you get married, the marital properties, you cannot just will it out without the consent of your wife. Though you got the property, it's now joint property. Unless you're able, unless you're able to tell us that that very property
was made
before, or even if it was made during the marriage, it was not part of a joint property because one was a will, was a gift. It was not intended to be joint because it was a loan, like I stated. It was a personal property that you're making with the mindset that this cannot form part.
So do you have to declare your property to say that this is a joint property?
No, you don't need to declare. So you see, in all these circumstances, the court now decides. So it's not a straight jacket sort of thing. You want a divorce. To get a divorce, you need to go to court for the court to declare that the marriage has broken down beyond reconciliation. Now, when that happens, it's the court that will decide based on the evidence provided that this is a joint property, and in that regard, we should share it accordingly. At first, it was 50-50 straight, but now the court has even do 50-50 again. So the women going out there thinking, I get a 50% share. No, they will look at the circumstances surrounding even the properties to decide whether we are doing it 50-50, 60-40, or probably 30-70.
So we were all here and we saw medical even. Medical building a property. Eventually, he got married to Fela McAfee. They moved in together. And
do we see the property before they got married?
I mean, he used to go to the sites. I don't know if I followed him for a very long time.
They used to go to the site together?
I saw it.
We knew that medical was building.
We know all the celebrities are building, so.
No, but we knew that particular building.
We knew that.
Okay, I knew about. Okay, I knew about it.
Are you sure?
I knew about it as well.
It was that building.
Yes,
it was
I
that
knew.
building.
Yes, I knew.
Yeah.
Okay.
And they got married. And Fela McAfee, issues happened. You know, I think he wanted her to be out. They were co-parenting, whatnot. Later on, it comes out that Fela apparently pumped money in to help medical build the property. In this case, legally, would you say that Fela can, own this property one way or the other? Number one, considering the fact that they were married.
They have a child
together. She's saying that her money is part of the building.
Yeah.
If the court is to review the situation, do you think it will be in favor of Fela or it will be in favor of medical?
So if the court is to review it, it's definitely going to be a sharing of the property. So a sharing of the property. It may be 50-50. So there'll be a valuation of the property. If it's valued, if the one can buy another person out, that's fine. The sharing doesn't mean probably just go and put in the wall to share. You can value and then you pay the other off. That will be it. But then if the court sees that there was that substantial contribution, which means that it's a joint property for the both, ideally it should be 50-50 share. I said ideally, meaning that sometimes it may not be 50-50 based on the circumstance of every case.
Like maybe he built the house 80% before he married you.
You cannot make it 50-50. Exactly. So if Fela is able to prove that we did this together, I contributed substantially, proves in court. Medical also proves. So that you value, you pay her off or you pay him off. You own the property.
Yeah, I saw a photo of a copy of the land papers with both of their names on the land. I don't know if it's real or if it's fake, but it came on the internet where both of their names were on the piece.
So like I said earlier, both of their names is fine if it's there. If it's not there, it's not detrimental. You can prove your case that I actually contributed. You probably did some transfers to him. Maybe doing the transfer with cement. That's enough proof. You were there on site. People saw you. You come to court and bring all these people to prove as witnesses for you. The court will look at it and then give you your percentage. Before, it was strictly 50-50. But now the new position, the court will look at it at every case by case basis, to see whether we are sharing it 50% or we are doing it 60-40.
Okay. So let's take this example. For instance, I have a land and I met you and you decided to build on my land. So the land was my property before I met you. and you decided to build on the land, and we're living in the
Like,
house.
it's 50-50.
And you know, hey, I'm not.
I'm sorry. Sorry.
So now there's a divorce. In such a case, how would you handle it as a lawyer?
So you have the land.
Yes, the
Your
land
husband
belongs
builds
to me,
on the
and
land.
you're my husband.
So with all intents and purposes, it's meant to be a joint property. Because you freely gave your land to your
I
husband.
didn't freely.
Okay. So you didn't add that clause. So what's the clause?
Oh, because we're married. You wanted to build, and
So you give it to him
Because
freely.
you are
married.
married.
Yeah.
So you freely gave to your husband.
Because
to
I was
build on
married.
that. So the intent was that it's supposed to be joint property for all of you to cohabit in it.
Okay.
Now there's divorce.
Yeah.
So you say, I bought the land. That's why also says, I built the house. So take your house and let me take my land. That is not possible. So we value it, we share.
50-50.
Yes.
Or the value
Can
of the
school
land
sell,
to the
or
value of
what,
the
what
house.
are we doing?
No, if you want to sell, you can sell and share the money. If the man says, well, I have money, let's valuation, how much is it? The court will say it's supposed to be shared 50-50. So the next step will be either you value the house and then decide to pay one off,
Yeah.
or you sell it and share. Sharing 50-50 is sharing 50-50.
Okay.
If you decide, okay, we can cohabit together, so let's divide the house, I'll stay here, you stay here. All the court is interested in is the orders or the judgment being complied with. So in this circumstance, the land, the value of the land probably is in East Legon. So probably $200,000. The house, the value of the house on it. So we are looking at the whole building being like 400,000. The court can look at it and say, okay, then let's share 50-50. But the house is at, let's say, Rejagbawi. You bought a plot for 100,000 Ghana cedis. This guy has built a huge mansion on it. The value of the plot is 100,000. The mansion itself is like 2 million or 1 million Ghana cedis. In the wisdom of the court, they won't tell you to share it 50-50. And that's why we are saying, before the court would have said 50-50. But now it has revolved such that it will say it should be shared equitably.
Okay.
Such that
Based on each person's contribution.
values contribution, exactly. In fair and just manner.
Mommy, why that
in
deep
the
breath?
case, so in the case,
Mommy is getting ready to give some properties out.
so in the case, like what she was saying, that like in the case my spouse is dead, and I found out that God forbid, hey, and I found out that he actually willed everything to everybody else.
But you.
Yes, but me, maybe could cite I was cheating on him, blah blah blah. When I go to the court, will everything else let me not even use his debt because I cheated and everything. Does that mean that I have automatically lost my rights to everything, or the fact that I've cheated doesn't matter? I still own.
So you've cheated.
Yeah.
There was no divorce.
He
You're
died.
still in the marriage.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, he's dead.
Yeah.
Now the will says you earn nothing.
Because I'm a cheat.
The Constitution will protect you as a spouse.
Okay.
The Constitution says a spouse has to get a benefit from the other spouse's property,
Irrespective
irrespective of you having 3 boyfriends.
like
spouses,
Odate
and like-
Lamte's wife and like Odate ex-wife, Odate Lamte's ex-wife, like the say Nkolami is telling them with the other. And
She still got some property.
she even went to say that she was the East Legon one.
Exactly the
Oh.
point. So the Constitution is clear, and when the Constitution is the mother of all laws, there are so many
Yeah.
laws. So what the Constitution says, that is it.
That's fine now.
So if there's a will, your spouse gave you nothing, and you are able to take it to court, the court will say no. You are supposed to get a portion of the property. Now, how would that be determined? Like I said, the court will look at the status in life and look at the man's status in life as well. If the value of the man's property is 100,000 Ghana cedis, the court cannot give you 200,000 Ghana cedis. Where would they take it from? But he has a lot of money. So from that money and from the life you're living, London, Accra, every 2 weeks, 2 months, we give you enough provision
To make sure I
from
can,
the property of the man.
to make sure I
Based
get
on your status in
my
life.
like I never have to reduce my level of.
Not never have to, but at least to compensate you as a portion from a portion
Lawyer,
of his property.
Just a quick one. You were talking about the fact that if you have a spouse and there's a divorce, you have to share properties among. So, for instance, there's a man. I'm using you as an example,
Yes.
Mr. Ofori. You have 3 wives. Okay, you have 3 different wives, and you have a property. Does it mean that how do you share? Because we're talking about the fact that you need. Is it mandatory for your spouse to put their name on your property? In a case where you have multiple spouses, how is that? How would that be done?
First and foremost, to have multiple spouses means you married under the customary law.
Yeah.
Okay.
The ordinance doesn't permit you to have more than a wife. So customarily, if you have more than a wife, all are deemed wives.
Okay.
All are deemed wives. So it will be shared equally for the
Among
wives
all
upon
of
your
them.
divorce. Upon your demise.
demise.
Yes. It should be shared equally among the wives.
Okay.
Then, in some instances, it will also depend on the claim by the wife. So we are in court. One wife is saying, yes, I'm married, but I have my own work. This is my standard of living. This is how much I spend. These are the number of kids I have. The kids necessarily will determine how much money goes to that wife, because every kid must be protected for and taken care of from the estate of the deceased spouse.
So we're talking about standard of living. So how would the court measure my standard of living from Abner's standard of living?
You're in court. You are proving. You've written to the court by way of your petition, your documentation, that you live at East Legon or you live at Airport Hills. We cannot give you 1,000 Ghana cedis a month for living at
rent.
Airport. It's impossible. Like you told me you live at Santa Maria, I can make
No offense to people living
no
in Santa
offense
Maria.
to people to us living in
Oh,
Santa
you live
Maria.
at Santa Maria.
So if you are giving you some 1,000 cedis for rent, maybe that one may not even be enough, but we can manage it. So the standard of living also, and if you look at the case law, look at the position of the law, you always look at these things before making this provision. Does this case Atta was a
Hey,
footballer.
Atta, more case, pal, because what Bomu
It's
did.
the same case I mentioned.
Okay, I thought it was a different case.
It's a footballer. At the end of the day, when they're making the provisions for the wife during the divorce, they realized that the man had bought a house for the wife separately. The man also helped in building a property for the wife's mother. The court said, if the man has done this for you and all that, we cannot even look at 50-50 and all that. We can give you something from the person, but we cannot share what he has again with you.
Just
even
because
though
he bought you a house.
he's bought your house. He's built something for your mother. Now there's probably 3 properties left. You want us to share those 3 for you again?
Okay.
Abner, is it possible?
Oh, it's possible.
Oh yeah, no,
of love.
on my
It's
birthday,
possible.
let's say my birthday, you got me a house as my dream gift. But in the course of our marriage, we had 3 houses. The gift is the gift.
Yeah.
Why must you add the gift to the properties that's your house?
So in the court looking at the contribution of the wife and in sharing, they said, oh, this your husband has actually given you a gift of a house. He's even gone further to give your mother another gift of a house. So when we are sharing, we also give you this portion to make it balanced. Do you get it?
Okay, so in the case of the footballer that I brought it up earlier, so they were married,
Yes.
they get divorced, and after the divorce, it comes out that all his properties were
In his
put in
mother's
his mother's name. In this case, I feel like it's a bit unfair to the
'Cause you
woman
know he's
because,
working.
like you said, basically serviced you, took care of you, the house. No,
But
it's
the
true.
court knows he has a job.
So with this information coming out, can the ex-wife, use this as evidence to reappeal for the case again?
Okay, so what we saw in the news was that he registered the properties in the
his
mother's
mom's
name.
name.
Now the question is, what shows that the mother doesn't own those properties? What shows that he didn't register
on.
them?
But the court is about
So what
facts.
shows? So you are
Court
supposed
doesn't
to
care.
prove that indeed those properties
Are his.
are his, and that he intentionally registered it in the mother's name.
Okay.
So when the mother comes out and also says, "Hey, I've got my money. I bought these properties," and on the face value, on the paper, it is my name. So how do you prove that it was for the footballer?
Okay,
So we are out here believing that he, being a footballer, he has a lot of money, and so the properties definitely are his in his mother's name.
Definitely.
But we go to court, the mother brings his documents and says, "These are my documents. I bought the properties myself." So now it's for you, the wife, to prove that though the name of the mother is on these documents, I know these houses are for the footballer. Can you prove it? If you can prove it, the court will look at what you're saying. The court is not court of just saying or fact.
But
Evidence is key.
Is key.
Okay, so in the case where we're divorcing after 10 years of marriage, you have a job, you were working. Now, as we're divorcing, you're saying everything is for your mother. Can I say that in the 10 years, so you didn't have any job, you don't have any money, you have nothing? Can can I not fight it?
Yeah,
No,
like
you,
you're being selfish.
You should have had something in 10 years. You,
So
you don't
see,
have
that's
anything.
how come some people end up saying the courts there, they are cheats.
Because
The
it's not about
judge is
sentiments.
not in your marriage.
Yeah.
The judge is not with the man buying the properties. The judge is there looking at the evidence you are providing for him. He's reviewing the evidence, and based on the evidence, back it with the law to determine the case. They are married for 10 years, yes. People are married for 10 years, they are footballers, and they came out ruined. They didn't have anything. There are instances like that.
Their wives signed.
There are people who probably did one or two women who took their monies, they lost some contracts, they didn't sign some lines well, and they realized that you're losing out. So you cannot say because you are married 10 years and a footballer, the judge should assume
That you have money.
properties. Or you have money. So the other side has brought his facts. His facts are that I do not have anything. Now we look at the documentation. In fact, the judges also take judicial notice of all these things that happen. Judicial notice, like they know people actually register in names and all that. So the documentation will be really studied. When did you get married? 2001. When was this property registered? 2010. Who registered it? It was registered in your mom's name. What work does your mom do? Your mom is a banker. Her the status of a banker at that position, can she get this money to buy this property at this time? They will look at all this in arriving at a decision. But you cannot assume that he knows and he's thinking about what happened in your home to arrive at a decision. It's the documentation and how your lawyer will present the case to the judge.
Okay. So if a young woman is watching us today and she's married, what are one or two things you can tell her to do to protect herself and her children or unborn children from such circumstances?
First and foremost, be a good wife.
No, you can still be a good wife. You can be a good wife. No, listen, you can be a good wife and still get nothing.
True.
Because what is the evidence that this footballer case, the wife was not a good wife? Being a good wife is relative.
All the time.
You see, being a
In
good
that
wife
case.
is a relative. One guy's definition of a good wife could be someone who cooks, someone who has good sex, someone who is submissive. Good wife is extremely relative.
So you see, we've read of a footballer on the internet and we just got what was the ruling in the case. You may probably get the documentations that were filed and you realize that maybe the wife's lawyer did a very bad job.
Okay.
How did he present her case to court? Like I said, the judge is not with you. Present your documentation in your case. Tell us that when you got married, you've been with him all this while. He's been getting this amount of money as his weekly allowances. You even know that he bought these properties. You are aware of these things. You should be involved in your man's life. As a young man married, young woman, you should know what your husband is doing.
Number one, be involved in his life. Number two,
Be involved in his wife.
But what if he doesn't let you know? I mean,
that is why you have to be involved.
Before if he's going to work and he's going to sign there,
Like,
will you
be
follow him
vigilant.
anyway?
Look at things
How
that
would you
goes on.
know? You can only know
All
what
in
he wants
all,
you to know.
There will be good marriages. There will be
course,
bad marriages.
of
There will be
course.
good persons. There will be
There'll
bad
be bad
persons.
people, yeah.
There will be people who will let you even know willingly. There will
Exactly.
be others that will hide with a bad mindset. So we have to first and foremost also pray.
Know the
that
person you're marrying.
And know the person you're getting married to. And be involved somewhat. Your husband is saying, I'm going to site on a Saturday. Oh, okay, darling, go and come. You don't even know where the plot is. So at the end of the day, if you are going to call and say, no, that property is for my mom, can you prove that that was the site you visited? What are the evidence to prove? There's a case I'm handling currently, and then the lady actually has pictures of her going to site every Saturday.
Wow.
Whenever she goes, she takes pictures with the workers. When she buys cement,
She knew
kept
what is about to happen,
everything.
Anna.
She didn't know, but I think she's that vigilant. She's that, let me just take these things. I mean,
case.
probably for fun. We are building together.
So that the joke I made earlier, that when you go to the site, you say, "Hi, I'm on site." It's something that someone
It
does.
can be of help. It
Okay.
can actually be of help.
Okay, are you listening?
How insightful is that? It's still Toast right here on GHOne television, and I'm here with the ever gorgeouses. Abnamaway and going to be Achanwa. We also have Benjamin Ofori. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
I don't know.
Really? Order!
I know, but I didn't have forgotten the name.
He's a lawyer.
Ladina, stand here.
You know what I'm talking about, right?
I don't know.
But you forgotten the name.
I've forgotten the name.
He needs to be filled.
Okay, so he got it wrong. So you have to come back
No,
with the
but
next
he
one.
knew what it was.
Are you trying to remember it?
He doesn't know the name, so it's not my fault. He knows what I'm acting.
What is it used for?
Okay.
What is he used for? Yes.
To hit, to
Yeah.
order and
It's
order,
called the
yeah.
gavel.
I
The
told
gavel.
Yeah.
Okay, so when you're the
Hey. Okay.
Hey, Madam Lawyer, Patrol,
Okay,
I
No. She has to
So
start here.
let's just say you're about to go to the courtroom. So you wear your suit.
Hey,
The rig.
But it's not a wig. This
The
lawyer
name
must
for
be
it.
beaten.
That's what we call it.
But what is the name?
We normally call it rig. I don't know if there's any.
The periwig.
Periwig.
Yeah.
but I know this one. Okay, so you open it and you swear by it.
The Constitution.
No, you open
oath?
it
Before anything.
So if you're Christian, you swear by another one. If you're Muslim, you swear by.
So the Bible.
Yay!
Okay, so I mean I can describe something. Okay, so you are my lawyer. You are here. No, yes. And you're asking me questions.
The doc.
Or the place where I will stand and then see. Are you sure you didn't cheat on your husband?
That's the doc.
Or is it? Or I'll call my
Because you know what it
witness.
is.
Witness box.
Yeah. But why you not saying anything?
He's supposed to guess.
Okay. My lord, ladies.
Did they do that? Did they hold that in the court? They don't hold it in the court too. So you just say it.
The microphone.
No.
So, Mr. Bell, how do you feel about failing miserably about the National Cathedral?
The recorder.
Courtroom recorder. The last one.
Oh,
Okay.
what do you do, Latin?
Your Honor.
Really?
The gown. The lawyer's gown.
The boss
The
killer.
judge's gown.
Well done, Mr. Benjamin Ofori. It's
Yeah.
been amazing having you on board. I've learned so much.
Me too.
Myself.
So
thank
much.
you.
And I'm sure definitely the listeners and the viewers have also. But before anything, what's your final legal advice?
Well, in everything you do, seek the advice of a lawyer. Sometimes people go into contracts, people go in buying land, and after, for want of a better word, shit hits the fan. That's when they go looking for a lawyer. But if you look for a lawyer first, the advice the lawyer will give you may save you the trouble after everything. So in all you do, seek a lawyer.
lawyer.
That part. Thank you so much for your time.
You're welcome.
Ladina.
Really? I know it's not good.